Hey everybody, before I get underway and share with you my question mark, my light bulb, and my arrow from last Sunday, let me just give a welcome. It might be a little bit premature, but I've heard rumors that there's going to be some new house churches forming, and also that some of those new house churches are actually not new, they're just because more mature house churches have birthed. The house church got to a certain size and they just decided to hive off and have two healthy house churches where people are more open to participate and there's just more time for everybody. So that's good. That's such a sign of health when our house churches are growing. So good for you guys for doing that. Not always easy to birth house churches that way because you sort of feel like you're saying goodbye to some friends, but that's a good thing, not to say goodbye to friends, but to give people room to grow. And you still have party week where you can probably come back together and do some things. So that's great to hear. Whether it's happened yet or it's just about to happen, either way, I'm excited. All right, regarding my question, light bulb, arrow, my question from last week as we looked at the last church, the church of Laodicea, is this. Why did Jesus use his strongest language in this church? Because the problem doesn't seem like it's maybe as big as in the other churches. In the other churches, there's sexual issues, there's like profound theological messes. And Jesus to them is a little kinder, it seems, in his language than he is to this group that just has self-sufficiency as their problem. Because to the church in Laodicea, he says, I want to spit you out of my mouth, or literally, you make me want to puke. That's pretty strong language. Jesus thinks about them and a gag reflex happens for him. Like, ouch. My question is, why such a strong statement to them given what seems like self-sufficiency? That can't be that big a deal. My light bulb comes when I realize not just that it's a big deal, obviously it is, but more that they have no idea that they're that blind to how lost they are. They say, we don't need anything. We're rich, we've got this, we've got that, we're perfectly fine. So they actually don't know, to use Jesus' words, how wretched, blind, poor, and naked they are. So Jesus has to use this sharp tone, this wake-up call to jar the self-sufficient, because with self-sufficiency comes some serious blindness, and he wants them to see that the path they're going down is pretty messed up and is going to result in some pretty serious harm to their church community. My arrow comes when I realize that in the image of Jesus at the end, where he's inviting them to welcome him back in, he says, behold, look, I'm standing at the door knocking. Now my arrow there was like, oh, most of us understand that image as being for people that don't know Jesus yet. You've never given your life to Christ, you've never been baptized, you've never been filled with the Holy Spirit, all those sort of Christian things that happen to you. So for those people that aren't Christians yet, Jesus is standing at the door and knocking. That's not how it is in this text, which is really where we get that image from. Here, it's Christians who have been baptized, have been following, and over the course of their Christian walk with Jesus, they have gotten self-sufficient to the point where they've kind of pushed him out the door. They don't need him anymore. He hasn't gone away, he's still knocking. But to me, that's like a wake-up call kind of arrow, like, oh, Jesus is knocking at the door of the heart of Christians to be let back in. That wakes me up, because what have I maybe done to make Jesus leave the building? It's especially jarring because we're told earlier in Revelation that Jesus walks among all the lampstands, and the lampstands are the churches, except for Laodicea, Jesus is not among its lampstand, he's on the other side of the door. So that's kind of arrow number one, that conviction, that I can, maybe without thinking about it, by being blind to it, push Jesus out of the door. The second conviction is related to it. When I open the door, it's amazing how fast we go from me giving Jesus something that is like a gag reflex to him just coming in and wanting to have a meal. He goes from nausea to hungry in like one paragraph, which is important for me to realize, because in my life, when I have ostracized other people or we have had an argument, even when we make up, it can take weeks and months of us tentatively doing this little dance around each other that's basically, so are we okay, are we okay, are we okay, are we okay? That doesn't happen with Jesus. When you open the door to his knock and you welcome him back in and you come to him for what you need and you discard your self-sufficiency, you move right back to a place where he is near you. And that's great, and removes some of the hesitancy we might feel. So that's how I processed some of Sunday. There was obviously lots more there. Maybe some stuff resonated with you, but hopefully this is enough to get you going. And because it's an up week, we want to also be praying for people that don't know Jesus yet, that they might find him in our lives, that we might have opportunities to share him, etc. So don't miss out on that if you dive deep into this discussion. All right, grace and peace, everyone. Have a great week.